The moment you step back, everything changes. Not just around you, inside you. The people who said they cared. The ones who said, "I understand you." The ones who loved the version of you that never said no. When you finally take a step back, when you stop answering every message, when you stop showing up just because they expect you to, you don't just create distance, you light up a mirror, and suddenly everyone is forced to look into it. Some see love, some see fear, some see emptiness, some see the shadow they have been running from their entire life, and you finally start seeing yourself. Tonight, let's go into that space. The space that opens when you stop chasing, the space that feels like a void at first. You will see what distance really does to people, what it reveals about them, what it reveals about you, and why, according to Carl Jung, stepping back may be one of the most honest acts of love you will ever choose. Love for yourself, and strangely enough, even love for them. Because distance doesn't just separate, it exposes, it heals, it transforms. If you have ever wondered, what do they truly feel when I walk away? Stay with this story. You are about to find out. Imagine this. You wake up one morning with that heavy feeling again. Your chest is tight. Your mind is already racing. The day hasn't even started. But you can feel the pull, the pressure to reply, the pressure to be available, the pressure to fix everyone's problems. You pick up your phone. Messages, notifications, requests. Someone wants advice. Someone wants your help. Someone wants to vent. You scroll. Your energy drops a little more with every message. And then something inside you whispers, "Not today." Not because you don't care, not because you are cold, but because something deep in you is tired of abandoning yourself. So you do something unusual. You put the phone down. You take a step back. No big announcement, no dramatic speech, no "I am deleting everyone from my life" post. Just a quiet decision, a small line drawn inside your own heart. I need space, and this time I'm going to honor it. At first, nothing seems to happen. The world keeps moving. People still go to work, life goes on. But in the invisible world, the psychological world, the world Jung spent his life exploring, a chain reaction begins. Because your distance is not empty, it is full of meaning. To the people who depended on your constant presence, your step back feels like a disturbance. Suddenly, they don't get the instant reply. They don't get the automatic yes. They don't get the predictable version of you who always adjusts. And what rises in that gap is not really about you. It is about them. Their reactions are stories. Stories their unconscious tells when it feels threatened. One person feels anger. "How dare you pull away? You're selfish. You've changed." Another feels abandoned. "Of course, people always leave me." Another shrugs. "That's fine, I don't need you anyway." On the surface, these reactions seem directed at you. But Jung would say they are projections. They are throwing their inner fears onto the screen of your decision. The anger. Often a fear of losing control, the sadness, often an old wound of being left behind. The indifference, often a defense mechanism, a way to avoid feeling anything at all. Your distance did not create their shadow, it simply turned on the light. But it's not just about them, is it? Because while all of this is unfolding around you, something equally powerful is happening within you. When you step back from the noise, you suddenly meet someone you have avoided for a long time, yourself. At first, the silence is uncomfortable. You reach for your phone. You want to scroll. You want to distract yourself. But you pause. You stay. You let the quiet expand. And in that quiet, a different voice appears. Not the voice of guilt. You should answer them. Not the voice of fear. If you don't show up, they'll leave you. But a softer voice, almost unfamiliar. What do you need? The question lands in your body like a foreign language. You have spent so much of your life asking, "What do they need from me?" You rarely ask, "What do I need from myself?" This is where Jung's idea of the shadow becomes real. In the silence, you start to see the parts of you that you have hidden, the anger you swallow to keep the peace, the exhaustion behind your smile, the resentment that grows every time you say yes while your whole body is screaming, no. These are not flaws. They are messages. Your shadow is not here to destroy you. It is trying to protect you. Every time you felt uncomfortable but stayed to avoid upsetting someone, your shadow took note. Every time you ignored your own boundaries to keep a relationship alive, your shadow remembered. Every time you betrayed yourself just to be accepted, your shadow whispered, "We can't keep living like this." When you finally take distance, those whispers become clear. You see the pattern, you see the cost, you see how often you have left yourself behind just to avoid being left by others. And that realization hurts. It stings. Because the most painful distance is not between you and other people. It is the distance between you and your own truth. Now something important happens. By choosing space, you send a message to your unconscious. I matter too. It sounds simple, but it changes everything. Your inner world listens, your nervous system listens, your body listens. The tension in your chest loosens, your breath sinks a little deeper. You haven't fixed your life. You haven't changed all your relationships. You simply made one honest decision. I will not abandon myself today. And that is enough to start a new pattern. Because with every small boundary you set, with each moment you choose rest instead of pleasing, you reinforce a new belief: I am allowed to exist for myself. Not only for others. The unconscious responds to repetition. It doesn't understand long speeches. It understands choices. So, when again and again you choose to honor your energy instead of giving it away automatically, your inner world reconfigures. You are no longer just the caretaker, no longer just the peacemaker, no longer the one who must always be fine. You become something else. You become someone who has a center, a core, a self. And in Jung's language, this is the path of individuation, the journey of becoming who you really are instead of who the world trained you to be. Of course, this all sounds beautiful in theory, but in real life, there is another layer. Doubt. You take distance, you feel lighter. Then suddenly, on a random evening, the doubts arrive. What if I'm overreacting? What if I really am selfish? What if they're better off without me? What if I'm better off going back to how it was? Your mind replays old memories, the laughs, the good days, the warmth. It conveniently forgets the nights you cried alone, the times your boundaries were ignored, the moments you felt invisible in a room full of people. Nostalgia is selective. It edits out the parts that hurt the most. In those moments, it is tempting to run back, not because the old situation was truly right for you, but because it was familiar. Jung would say the unconscious loves what is familiar even if it is painful. That's why growth feels so confusing. You're not only leaving people or places behind, you are leaving behind a version of yourself that learned to survive by shrinking. So, when the doubt creeps in, this is not a sign that you made the wrong choice. It is a sign that you are crossing the border between the known and the unknown. The old identity says, come back. We know how to live here. The new self whispers, I know you're scared. But keep walking. Here is where synchronicity often shows up. You take a brave step back. You sit with the discomfort. You choose not to run back to what hurt you. Days pass, maybe weeks. Then, suddenly, small, meaningful coincidences begin to appear. You meet someone who speaks your language, not literally, but emotionally. Someone who respects your boundary the first time you mention it. Someone who doesn't guilt-trip you when you say, I'm not available right now. Or you stumble upon a book, a talk, a message that says exactly what you needed to hear in that moment. You receive a new opportunity, a project, an idea. Something that would never have fit into the old life where all your energy was consumed by keeping others comfortable. These moments feel like the universe is quietly nodding. Yes, this is the direction. Keep going. Jung called these meaningful coincidences synchronicities, moments when the inner world and the outer world seem to line up as if reality is responding to your inner choice. When you start honoring your truth, life begins to rearrange itself around that truth. Not instantly, not all at once, but subtly, step by step. The people who resonate with the old version of you, the one without boundaries, may start to pull away. The ones who resonate with your new honesty start to appear. It can feel like a loss at first. Relationships fade. Groups no longer feel like home. Conversations feel empty. But underneath that sense of loss, there is something else. Space. Space that used to be filled with noise. Space that is now free to be filled with presence. Your presence. You begin to notice something strange. You don't need as many people around you. You don't need to be liked by everyone. You don't need constant approval to feel real. You start to enjoy your own company. The quiet that once felt threatening begins to feel sacred. You go for a walk alone, and instead of scrolling, you actually look at the sky. You drink your coffee slowly and notice its warmth instead of rushing through it on the way to another obligation. You sit in your room, no music, no distractions, and your mind does not instantly feel like an enemy. This doesn't mean you never feel lonely. You still do. You still miss people. You still wish some relationships could have been different. But the loneliness now has a different texture. Before it was the loneliness of being surrounded by people and feeling unseen. Now it is the loneliness of someone building a new inner home. Someone who has left the old village and is walking through a quiet valley toward a place that doesn't yet exist, but is calling them forward. That kind of loneliness is not a punishment. It is a passage. If you are there now, you are not broken. You are in transit. Meanwhile, the people you took distance from are also on their own path. Some will stay angry. They will keep telling themselves that you are the problem. They are not ready to look in the mirror yet, not ready to ask, why did their boundary disturb me so much? Others will feel hurt but slowly begin to understand. They might not contact you. They might not apologize. But something in them shifts. Your decision becomes a quiet teacher, a reminder that love is not control, that closeness is not ownership. A few may even come back, not to drag you into the old pattern, but to meet you in a new way. I realize I didn't respect you before. I'm sorry. I'm learning. Can we try again differently? You are under no obligation to accept. You are free to say no, but you will notice something powerful. By respecting your own boundaries, you have changed the rules of any future relationship. You no longer accept half-presence. You no longer tolerate emotional manipulation disguised as love. You no longer confuse sacrifice with connection. You are no longer available for anything that demands you abandon your own soul. This is the quiet revolution of distance. From the outside, it looks like you are stepping away. On the inside, you are finally stepping toward yourself. You are reclaiming your energy. You are rewriting the story of what love means to you. Love is no longer, I'll hurt myself so you can be comfortable. Love becomes, I will honor myself. And if you want to walk beside me, it has to be in a way that honors you and me both. Distance doesn't destroy real connection. It reveals it. The relationships that survive your growth are the ones that can hold truth. The ones that do not collapse when you say no. The ones that don't demand your silence as proof of loyalty. These relationships might be fewer, but they are deeper. You don't need to perform in them. You don't need to shrink or exaggerate. You can be tired. You can be joyful. You can be confused. You can be in all progress, and you are still welcome. That is intimacy, not constant presence, but mutual respect, not perfect harmony, but shared honesty, not I will never change. But as I grow, I hope we can grow together. So, where does this leave you now as you listen to these words? Perhaps you're in the middle of taking distance. Perhaps you are resisting it. Perhaps you feel the need for space, but something keeps pulling you back. Fear of losing them, fear of being alone, fear of being misunderstood. These fears are real. They deserve compassion. But ask yourself gently, what is the price of staying where you are? The headaches, the anxiety before every call, the feeling of being drained after every message, the quiet grief of never giving yourself what you give everyone else. Sometimes the pain of staying small becomes heavier than the fear of stepping away. When that moment arrives, something in you knows you can't go back, not in the same way. You might still talk to the same people, you might still visit the same places, but you are different now. You have seen your shadow and did not run. You have felt the emptiness and did not immediately fill it with noise. You have tasted a small drop of inner peace that does not depend on who texts you back. And once you have felt that even for a moment, it is very hard to forget. So here is the quiet twist in all of this. Distance is not the opposite of love. Distance is often the beginning of true love. Because until you are willing to step back to see clearly, to feel honestly, you are not loving from freedom. You are loving from fear. Fear of being abandoned. Fear of conflict. Fear of being too much or not enough. When you choose space to meet yourself, your love changes flavor. It becomes less desperate, less controlling, less performative. You no longer cling. You no longer beg to be chosen. You no longer offer your soul as a discount. You stand. And from that place, the love you give and the love you accept becomes cleaner. It may not be perfect. You are still human. You will still make mistakes, but something essential shifts. You stop confusing chaos with passion. You stop calling emotional hunger soulmate connection. You stop making yourself small so someone else can feel big. You start choosing quiet, respect, depth, honesty, even if that means walking alone for a while. At the end of this journey, you may look around and realize your life is simpler. Fewer people, fewer conversations, fewer places where you feel you need to perform, but what remains feels real. The friends who stayed are the ones who learned to meet the new you. The opportunities that arrived are the ones that match who you are becoming, not who you used to pretend to be. And the relationship that changed the most is the one with yourself. You no longer see your needs as a burden. You no longer see your limits as flaws. You no longer see your desire for peace as weakness. You understand now, taking distance was never about abandoning others. It was about refusing to abandon yourself. So tonight, as you prepare to rest, let one question echo gently in your mind. What in my life is quietly asking for distance? A conversation that always leaves you drained. A dynamic where you feel smaller every time you show up. A pattern of always saying yes when your body whispers, please say no. You don't need to change everything at once. You don't need to make a dramatic announcement, just one small step back. One moment of honesty, one choice that says, I am listening to myself now. Watch what happens inside and around you when you do. Some people will call you selfish, some will call you distant, some will not understand at all. But your soul will recognize something different. It will recognize the feeling of coming home. And from that home, every future connection, every future yes, every future love will be built on a foundation that is finally real. Not the version of you they wanted, but the person you actually are. Keep walking toward that person, step by step, boundary by boundary, breath by breath. The more you choose yourself with honesty, the more life quietly rearranges itself around your truth. And one day you will look back at the moment you took distance and realize, that was not the day I lost them. That was the day I stopped losing myself, and everything changed.